Welcome back. Senate Republicans are set to begin marking up their version of the tax bill this upcoming week. There are some key differences between this plan from the Senate and the House GOP's version. Joining me right now is Missouri Senator Roy Blunt. He is vice chairman of the Senate Republican Conference, a member of the Senate Appropriations Committee. Sir, it's good to have you on the program. Thanks so much for joining us.
It's good to be with you again, Maria.
What are your most important items here that must be in this bill?
Well, I think the two overriding principles of what has to be in the bill is that hardworking families, hardworking individuals see more take-home pay right now. And then at the other end of the bill, we're doing whatever we need to do to make our economy more competitive. And the other way to get better take-home pay is to have better jobs to start with. If we meet those two criteria, this bill will be a great success. And I think based on the Senate bill and the House bill and those coming together, I think we can do that. And a lot of economists are telling me that's exactly what's going to happen if we pass a bill that meets those criteria.
So, you know, when you look at this bill, you've got $1.5 trillion to spend in terms of tax cuts. $900 billion of that is the business cuts. Is it fair to say, as I asked Gary Cohn a moment ago, is it fair to say that you are raising taxes on certain Americans as a way to pay for the business cuts of 20% on the corporate side?
Well, you've got a lot of shifting around going on where, $4 trillion or so of deduction of things get shifted from one way or another. There's a lot of moving parts here, but none of it is worth doing if we're not going to make our businesses more competitive and create better jobs. So if that $900 billion, if those two numbers are right, if the ultimate purpose of that is to create jobs for people that are paying at the individual rate, that's what we ought to be doing. More take-home pay now,
right.
More competition later, and part of that competition is to get us more in line with all the countries we compete with. You can't have the highest tax bracket in the competitive world and expect to be as competitive as the people that are at 20% or below.
But I have to ask once again something that I say continually, and that is the highest earners, the top 10%, pay 70% of the tax. So are you not cutting taxes on the people who pay taxes? You're cutting taxes on people who don't pay taxes.
Well, there are going to be more people in the individual, in the zero bracket. There'll be more people that take advantage of the new deductions. About 70% of the taxpayers now that file don't file itemized anyway. The estimate on this bill is that 90% of the taxpayers that file will take advantage of that new double deduction, which means that arguments about things like state and local tax deductibility and $1 million of loans, that whether that can be deducted or not, all are focused on the 10% that will still be filing the itemized returns.
Senator, let me read you something from the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, and that is Maya McGinnis's group. She says, fundamentally, the Senate bill suffers from the same fatal flaw as the House bill. It tries to cut taxes by $1.5 trillion over the next decade with no plan to pay for these cuts. As recent dynamic scoring has shown, there is no way economic growth can pay for more than a fraction of this cost. How are you going to pay for this?
Well, I saw Maya and visited with her about it last week. A lot of other economists that I respect as well disagree with that. I had Larry Kudlow come in, have coffee with Republican senators, very excited about what this could do to grow the economy. Larry Lindsey, who's frankly I always find is pretty negative on economic growth, very positive. And it doesn't take much growth to offset any deficit. You know, this is all based on growth that's well below the 70-year growth average. So if we get anywhere near the 70-year growth average, there won't be a deficit. There'll be a significant surplus, and I think that will address the concerns that Maya and I both would have about deficits.
Well, let me ask you a practical question, and that is whether or not you have the vote, Senator. I mean, let's face it. We're not expecting Senator John McCain to vote yes on this. We're not expecting Jeff Flake. We're not expecting Bob Corker. You just have Senator Rand Paul now gotten beaten up by his neighbor. Unfortunately, what a terrible story that is. Poor Rand Paul has broken ribs right now. Do you have the votes to even get this going?
Well, we will have the votes, and we're very highly motivated to do this. I don't think your predictions on those individuals are right. And frankly, once we get 50 Republicans, we'll have 3 or 4 Democrats vote for this as well. They're just not going to vote for it as long as there's a chance that Republicans will once again be embarrassed by not getting something this important to our agenda and to the economy done. I think we will get this done. We will get the 50 votes. And right now we're in the process of finding out, how do you pass a bill in the House? How do you pass a bill in the Senate? And then how do you take all those moving parts and put them together in a way that should be very focused on doing everything possible to get not just 50, but 52 Republican votes, and you'll add some Democrats to that if that happens.
And you think you'll get the Democrats that are representing the states that this president won, like in North Dakota?
I don't think we'll get all 10 of them, but my guess is we'll get somewhere close to a handful of Democrats if we pass a bill.
Senator, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks so much.